welcome back to my channel. If you're new on here, my name is Yonjan and new video drops every Tuesday, so I hope you stick around for that. So this video today, I'm going to be talking about why I joined the U.S. Army and how I joined the U.S. Army and the process beginning bate. And this is actually going to be a two-part video because the second video that's going to drop later this week, stay tuned for that as well, is going to consist of the Q&A of all the questions that you guys had for me about the U.S. Army. So this video today, I'm going to be talking about why I joined the Army, what made me think even about joining the Army, and everything. Okay, where do I start? It was a cold winter day and I was in my bed with nothing to do. But it was during our winter break when I was bad at class ma, so when I was in the 12th grade. You know, just scrolling through my phone. And YouTube I saw a video. It's like, oh, U.S. Army basic training go video. Okay. And I was like, oh, you know, like I never thought about joining the Army. I was never interested. No one in my family has been in the Army before. Like no one.
Okay.
So I never really took interest in it. But I remembered school cafeteria like they have this little booth in Army ko like they set up booths and just to answer whatever question the students might have. They can, you know, come to the recruiters that's there. I remembered and I was like, okay, like let me just see some US Army costumes because I didn't know anything about it. So I watched the video, I clicked on the video. It was like a 20-30 minute video and it gave you a whole rundown on basic training and like about get army join by like what's the process until you get to basic training and basic training cost. And then after I finished that video, there were like multiple other videos and I just kept watching. Like I kept watching the get army video, basic training videos, and I was like, wait, like this is actually interesting. And I started building like a little interest from that video. But then I was like, okay, like maybe it's just to get a temporary interest in Sunny. I was like, okay, one day I think I ignore about it. And next week when we went back to school, I actually went to the recruiter. And I asked them, I was like, get a video, what's the process? Like if I want to join, and he gave me a whole rundown. If you are interested, okay, like I'll get back to you. And we stayed in contact. And finally I was like, okay, like I think I'm interested in it. My whole plan was I go to college, finish my bachelor's, just like the normal plan that any high school kid has, or most high school kid has. And I was also committed to a college already, but then I was like, you know, after I saw that video, I was like, well, maybe, you know, college is always going to be there. And army join like college it's fine. It's fine if I don't do the normal high school to college route and get a job, all that. So I was like, okay, you know. And I asked him, I was like, so what's the next step? So next step is for you to take your ASVAB test, which is Army Intelligence Test. It has reading, writing, like mechanical section, like everything. It's like a whole like normal test. It's like the SATs basically, but for the Army. And they were actually holding it in our high school for, you know, kids that wanted to join. Based on that test scores, like the higher your test score is, the more job will be available to you when you go to pick the job. For each job they have the score that they require in order for you to do the job. I went to the testing center. We just sat there for hours and just finished the test. And we were just waiting on the result. Made a result ayo, and that's when I think I started to take it seriously. Hello. Anyways, so that's when I started to take things seriously. And I told him, I was like, you know, I'm 17. Like 18 is also a legal age in the United States where you can sign your own papers to join the Army. That are 17 you need a parent's signature, parents, you know, everything. He was like, yeah, so like since you're 17, until you talk to your parents and everything, whatnot. Like interest too, right? So I came home that day and I just like, you know, nonchalantly told them, oh, like my last Army video and I took the test as well, you know, just to see like कति आउँछ मेरो स्कोरहरु अनि यस्तो भयो भने मैले बाबामामाले भनेको थियो अनि पछि बाबामामी were like, you know, just know everything about it before committing to something भने अनि पछि हुन्छ like सब बुझ भन्नुभयो। I was like हुन्छ भने I actually set up a meeting with the recruiter and my parents. We went to the meeting. So Baba Mommy no mom meeting ma gayo recruiter sang kura garna ani पछि Baba Mommy asked whatever question they had to the recruiter. 17-year-old ko chori that already had a plan like high school that he college jane bhaneko 81 अब military join गर्ने भन्छ. So like they obviously were concerned. So the recruiter answered all their questions and everything. And the next step was for them to sign my papers. He printed out like, you know, my contract, like everything, like what I needed to sign. And Baba Mommy ended up signing the paper for me. I know. I was like, oh my god, like this is getting real, like what the and I was 17, like, you know, I just saw a random video one day and then within a week or two, like all this is happening. They signed the paper and I was like, so what's the next step? So the next step was for me to go up to MEPS to do my physical examination and everything. And in physical, when I like, they have like eye test, hearing test, behavioral health questions, everything, like background test. And MEPS is also where you pick your job. All this literally is in the last 6 months of my high school. I had 6 months still left of 12th grade, okay? We scheduled my MEPS go appointment. I had to go up and they drove me up and I had to spend the night on the early morning, like, you know, the early morning at like, what, 5? You have to wake up at like 5 or 6 and they take you from that hotel to the examination center, you know? So I went there, I went to the examination center. I'm like 17-year-old and young as hell, you know, just sitting there with like old people all around me, like in, you know, uniform. It's kind of intimidating, but I was like, you know, whatever. So I went there, the whole day was so long, like it felt so long. You're just going from one station to the next, you know, like I just going to hearing, just going to you going to whatever. So I did everything. I think like one of the last things was like me signing my will. So I'm like, what the hell, like I'm only 17 and I'm already signing my will, you know, because you have to like put down on paper like in case you die or in case something happens to you, who do you want the money to go to, and all that. I signed it, they did my fingerprints, everything. And the last step was to pick the job. And I sat with one of the people there in the computer and they just showed me a list of jobs. And mind you guys, like, you know, I watched all that video YouTube ma, but I didn't do my research on like the army ko job. Army ko job you have like regular civilian life ko job in the army as well. So like when I saw that list, you know, it was just like army nurse, like army is like just regular jobs, but army ko fuck bad, you see that. So I picked my job sitting down with one of the person that was there to help me. After that I went home. The next step was okay. The next step was, obviously I was still in high school, I still had 6 months left, and I was doing sports as well and everything. So the next step was they have monthly training for people that are leaving for basic training soon, just to, you know, prepare them for basic training, like basic training, just, you know, little things like that. So in January of 2016 I started going to that monthly training. It was only 1 weekend per month. From January until I left for basic training, I went to that training, and it was basically like preview of basic training, like a mini basic training, because they used to train us just like that, you know, punish us just like basic training and everything. And it really did help me. Basic training down the head, because you already knew, you know, some like terms or like marching and everything. I continued going to that training every month. And fast forward to June, I graduated high school. But that was, I think, one of my last training, June. And because my date to leave for basic training was July 6th. I had a little going away party / high school graduation party. And a couple weeks after that, July 6th, I shipped off to basic training, and the rest is history. So now, why I joined, you know, like I said, you know, I just built interest, this is the one. But the more I learned about the U.S. Army and the more I wanted to do it, the more I asked myself, like, kina चाहिँ गर्नु मन लागेको, like kina चाहिँ army join गर्नु मन लागेको हुन्छ नि, like you had a plan set in stone. Like, this is me talking to myself, okay? Like, you had a plan set in stone. Like, why are you joining the U.S. Army? Like, what's your purpose? हुन्छ नि, like, because it's a commitment. Like, I signed a 6-year contract. you know, like it's not something you can just like, it's not a job you can just like put your 2 weeks in and you quit on it. Like you can't quit the army. So I thought I had like my reason as to why I joined the army. Like after I signed everything, I was like, oh, you know, like I want to do something different. Like I just want to do something different, Manera. But the more I grew up, like within the last 6 years, like, ever since I joined, like I signed that contract, the more I thought about it, the more reason I had. I started to understand myself better. Why I joined the U.S. Army is, one of the main reason is to do something different. Just looking back at where I'm from, Nepal, like we don't, like as females, we don't really get that much opportunities. And even here, like US like it's been that like that forever, like women's right and everything. Like we talk about it so much because we didn't have any, you know, in the past. So I wanted to do that. I wanted to prove myself as well that I can do something, like I can do something so big, like join the US Army. Like that was a big thing for me. I also wanted to be like, I don't like the phrase like, oh, I want to be an inspiration to people. Like it sounds so cliche, that I did, because you know, I have so many women that I look up to, like on the media or in my family and everything, you know, of something they do, and I'm like, damn, like she can do that. Like she makes me believe in myself one day. It's just like, yeah. So I want to be that for some people and myself, you know, because you don't really know your potential until you do something and you're like, oh shit, like I'm capable of this, this, and this. Like you don't know your power, you don't know your potential. And that was me when I was 17. I didn't know my power, I didn't know my potential. So by joining and like completing the basic training and actually like, you know, going into the army, I was just like, this is something different, like something you don't see every day. So my number one fear is not reaching my full potential in life. And I've always tried anything that I wanted to. So I guess at 17, I wanted to try and see the US Army, and here I am 6 years later. I learned a lot, you know, things that I could use for the rest of my life. There's pros and cons about being in the army, I mean everything, but I took away a lot. So that's the main reason. I also have my own personal reasons, but I don't want to get too personally in here. So yeah, that is basically how and why I joined the army from the beginning to the end. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for next video, which is going to be later this week, which is going to be a Q&A of literally all the questions you guys always ask me about the army. I have like a list of questions in my phone. That's it for today. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and like and comment as well. Thank you. Dherai Maya.